All right, guys, good evening. I'm Ryan here alongside Caleb, Indiana Weather Online, Indiana Storm Chasing Network here. Doing combined coverage today. We have a couple of counties that are now under a severe thunderstorm warning heading right for downtown Indianapolis. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the chat if you want, if you can hear me okay. Let's go ahead and get this rolling here. So, this warning is going to be for only 60-mile-per-hour winds. There's no hail threat, large hail threat with this storm at least. But we are noticing here we have an airport radar that is a very low beam close to the ground. I flip on the velocity here. Check out these bright green colors here, indicating that our winds are upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour as this is moving into the airport here on the southwest side of Indianapolis here. Zooming out here, the counties included are going to be Morgan, northern Morgan to be exact, southern Hendricks, as well as the western part of Marion counties. Warning is going to be in effect here for another 26 minutes, which means it expires at 9:45 Eastern. Thank you, Jeanette, for the thumbs up there. Zooming out here.
Again, this is for Morgan County, Johnson County, Hendricks, and Marion County in central Indiana.
Yep. Now, I have a couple questions in here about other places. There's going to be a risk later on tonight with this line moving across into southwest Indiana. So if you're down here in Vincennes, Jasper, Evansville, anywhere south of Indy, your threat's coming off to the west here. There's still some time before it gets to you guys, so relax for now. But do keep in mind that threat will increase here over the next few hours. But for right now, we're going to focus in on where the severe threat is, which is going to be Indianapolis here. Caleb, if you have your screen pulled up, I'm going to go ahead and take you and let you go ahead and lead this.
Yeah, sounds good. Ryan has some stuff to do on the back end here, so we'll go ahead and keep on a rolling here. Again, the strongest winds right along the I-70 corridor here, moving in the Mooresville area, Plainfield. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Hail size 0.75, which is penny-sized hail, so not super large hail, but there is some hailstones associated with this thunderstorm, so don't be surprised if you hear some pings on your windows or anything like that. This is moving off to the north and east at 40 miles an hour, so not quite as fast as the storms that we had Wednesday night, so a little bit slower than those guys, but nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warning in effect, which does include Indianapolis here. If we zoom in here, again, the strongest part of the cell right along the I-70 corridor here between Stillsville, Clayton, Mooresville, Plainfield. You guys are all on deck here for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. Elsewhere along the state, this is the only severe thunderstorm warning in the state with the greatest risk for severe weather, generally south of the Fishers area. You can see your strongest storm right in here and points southward. So think Noblesville and south for the greatest risk tonight for severe weather. Go a little bit over in southeast Indiana here. We do have what's called a special weather statement. These are issued by the National Weather Service when we have a strong thunderstorm, but they have yet to reach severe criteria. This one in particular is for 40-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. So a strong thunderstorm moving outside the North Vernon area towards the Versailles area, Milan, Lawrence, Aurora, Pleasant, moving in that direction over there. Again, back to our severe thunderstorm warning here. Again, you can see right where these brighter greens are here on the radars between US 40 here, the I-90 emblem there, State Road 39. These brighter greens here are where our strongest winds are right now, associated right along the I-70 corridor, moving northeast at 45. So again, interior room, lowest level of your home. If you are in Indianapolis, again, don't take elevators. Use the stairwell in severe weather situations. If power does go out, your elevators may not function without a emergency backup power supply. So again, elevators, bad idea during severe weather. Always use the stairs. That way you guys can get out.
We'll also go ahead and add that we are not really seeing anything rotation-wise. So the risk for a tornado with this particular storm at this point in time is very, very minimal. Not seeing anything that would indicate rotation with this storm.
Nope, you can kind of see our colors here, how they're stretched out. They're real long. When we look for rotation, we want those colors to be really bright, really close together like a couplet, like you're holding hands with each other. That's what we want to see for rotation. Don't see any of that here up north. There is a tornado risk for Indiana tonight. However, the greatest tornado risk is across southern Indiana, mainly associated with these storms that are yet to move into Indiana, that are moving into southern Illinois right now. Have seen a couple tornado warnings associated with these. We'll have to keep an eye on those, how they trend over the next couple of hours as they move into Indiana. Outside of the severe weather risk, we do have a flash flood risk throughout the state of Indiana. As the showers and storms move into the state, they'll produce very heavy rainfall. Rainfall rates in excess of an inch an hour in some spots, and these storms are going to move over potentially the same areas over and over again, thus enhancing the flood risk in central and southern Indiana, especially. Again, our soils are already heavily saturated here. Let's go ahead and turn on our hail tracker here. We can see what the winds are doing there. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazard here with this storm. But let's turn on the hail tracker here because there is some hail associated with it. Right there, you see those reds and yellows there. That's indicative of some hail. It really matches up with your pinks on radar here. We're going to turn on a tool. It's called correlation coefficiency. And we don't only use this tool to look at tornadoes and debris, but we also use it to look at hailstones. This tool measures objects of different sizes within the thunderstorm. So again, raindrops are uniform in size, so they show up red and pink, which is what we're seeing here. Now, right here, we see a little bit of spatter, a little bit of greens, yellows, a little bit of hail showing up there, but nothing that screams severe hail with that right there. So that's some good news there. But nonetheless, some penny-size hail can't be ruled out here in this severe thunderstorm warning.
We're going to be live here for probably, I have to assume, multiple hours as these storms move into the southern part of the state. Models currently indicate that that line is going to arrive about 11 or so down by like the Vincennes and Jasper, Evansville area. It's going to slowly push through the state, and as it does, it'll take some time to clear the state. So Caleb and I will be on here probably until 3 or 4 in the morning tracking these storms for you guys. So it's going to be a long night for us. So if you have weather anxiety or just want to stay up and watch the coverage with us, buckle up, tune in. We'll keep you guys updated here on everything that we're seeing on radar, track it down to the road level if we have to, but we got you guys covered, so feel free to strap in and tune in and keep it tuned in here.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the airport radar here just to get a look here. What is going on here? Yes, still see some pretty strong winds here right at the base here coming into Indianapolis, coming into the airport there. Pretty strong winds here. And again, we're getting pretty close to the National Weather Service's radar as well. So what we're seeing here is a pretty good interpretation of what is happening on the ground or just above the surface, only a couple hundred feet above the surface here as our radar beam is very low. Here you see these brighter greens here. That's a really good indication that we're seeing 60-mile-per-hour winds here coming into the Alman area, Monroeville. Still tracking right along the I-70 corridor here. But also, look at all the lightning strikes associated with this storm, too. All of these little lightning bolt emblems that you see here on my radar are all cloud-to-ground lightning strikes associated with this thunderstorm, not including the cloud-to-cloud. These are all cloud-to-ground strikes. So again, a lot of lightning, a very electric storm here that is getting ready to move into Indianapolis Metro here. We do have a couple INDOT cams in the area here. Let's see if we can pull a couple of them up here to give you an idea of what is going on here. Let's go ahead and go near the Joppa area. Get a load of that camera here, see if it loads in. Not the best view on that one. A lot of lightning associated with this storm here. Let's see if we can find maybe a better one for you. Once we get into Indianapolis, there's more lights. Again, I-70 corridor is a little rural southwest of Indianapolis, so not a lot of lights there. That one's not loading, so we'll try to come back to that. But again, severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for another 18 minutes here. This is for northern Morgan County, central Indiana, northwestern Johnson County, central Indiana, southern Hendricks County, central Indiana, as well as southwestern Marion County in central Indiana until 9:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The storm is moving northeast at 40 miles per hour, so not moving too fast, but it is showing a nice swath of 60-mile-per-hour wind zone. There's brighter greens that you see there on the radar here. This is going to move towards the Plainfield area, Mooresville area, West Newton area, with the strongest winds coming into the Alman and Joppa areas here to the southwest of Indianapolis Metro here. So Circle City heads up. Severe thunderstorm heading in your direction. This is our only warning in the state of Indiana at this time. We are watching some strong thunderstorms, though, to our neighbors to the west in Illinois. Several severe thunderstorm warnings down here across southern Illinois that'll be moving towards the Paducah, Kentucky area, as well as making their way towards the Evansville, Vincennes area here over the next couple of hours. So we'll have to keep an eye on those as we track through the evening. We have one other storm to talk about here. We do have a special weather statement, which is impacting far southeast Indiana here for another 16 minutes. Special weather statements are issued when storms are strong, but they are not severe. 40 mile per hour winds and penny-sized hail for this one here. This is just north of the Madison area, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go back to Indianapolis here. This is our severe thunderstorm at this point in time, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. Again, strongest winds here. Waiting on the next scan to pop up here. But again, Mooresville, Indiana, you guys have probably seen some gusty winds starting to enter town. West Newton, Plainfield, you guys are on deck. Avon, the strongest winds may be just to your south. Same with Clayton. But again, Plainfield, Mooresville, West Newton, we're going to have to keep an eye on you for 60 mile per hour winds here as the storm approaches Indianapolis. But the greatest risk for severe weather tonight, think of it like Anderson, Indiana, and points southward is where we have the greatest potential for severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center does have a slight risk in effect for southern Indiana for areas Indianapolis and southward. And we also have an enhanced risk, which is a 3 out of 5 for the Evansville area, Vincennes, and far southern Indiana. We have a little bit more instability, a little bit more fuel for these storms to work with and tap into later this evening, which we'll have to watch these storms here later tonight as they move towards southern Indiana. Areas north of near the Fort Wayne area, again, no severe thunderstorms expected up here, mainly just some rain and some embedded lightning here. Lafayette getting some rumbles of thunder, but again, no severe weather is expected north of Indianapolis tonight.
I'll also take note.
Here's
Caleb, the storms down there heading toward Vincennes and the Evansville area. As Caleb just mentioned, the ones further south are warned right now, but the ones further north are currently not warned. So hopefully that's a trend that will continue. Looking on radar, it does appear to be that this storm is producing some heavier winds there along the leading edge there, with the brighter greens indicating stronger velocity. That'd be heading toward the Vincennes area in about, I'd probably say, another hour or so. So we'll watch that. There's no warning on it currently, but again, that's going to be up to the discretion of NWS if they want to issue one here soon.
Yep, again, back on radar. We do have the latest scan here. Strongest winds right along I-70 here. Going to moving into the Mooresville area now. Friendswood, Canby. Looks like West Newton as well. State Road 67 and 144 on deck for 60 mile per hour winds. The strongest winds are going to go just south of US 40 here. You can see the brightest greens right along I-70 where that emblem is there on the highway itself. That's your brightest returns. So think Plainfield and south, 60 mile per hour winds. Avon may get some gusty winds, but the strongest winds are just to your south, moving towards West Newton, as well as the I-74, I-70 interchange here in the next 10 minutes. It'll be coming into the west side of Indianapolis Metro.
And yes,
where you see these brightest green. Yep.
Go ahead, Ryan. There's a comment in here. If you look at chat, we do. However, we're not going to answer questions about specific locations unless we're talking about you as an active threat. If we're not going to talk about your location at the current moment, there's more than likely not a threat for you at this current time. Also, if my audio is cutting in and out or my audio is low, please let me know and I can adjust that. I already turned it up once here. Let me know if I need to go higher.
Yep, the strongest winds are currently associated just to the north of Mooresville, right along the I-70 corridor here. You can see the brightest greens right in here, coming up to the, looks like South State Road 267 there. getting ready to cross that, coming into the Friendswood, Canby, and Plainfield areas before we approach the I-74 corridor and into Indianapolis. You can see how this has a nice bowed out front to it, a nice compound bow on the leading edge of it. This is really kind of textbook for what we call a damaging wind threat, having that bowed out front where the stronger winds are pushing that apex out ahead of the rain and associated with that gust front there. So nonetheless, a really strong thunderstorm here moving into Indianapolis Metro. This warning is in effect for another 11 minutes here, 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the hail tracker here, just to see what our updraft is doing here. Still showing perhaps some small hail getting ready to move into the Mooresville area, or perhaps just past the Mooresville area, West Newton areas on deck. This is a little bit behind here. You can see matches up pretty well with our areas in pink here on our reflectivity here. Could have some penny-size hail associated with this storm as well. Again, for hail to reach severity criteria, it needs to be 1 inch diameter or greater, which is quarter size or larger for severe hail. Right now we are at penny size or 0.75, so we are just below severe criteria in hails, but that is not the case for wind. 60-mile-per-hour winds here indicated by radar, with the strongest hugging that I-70 corridor here. Going to move into Indianapolis Metro here in the next 15 minutes or so.
Here's a mic check, guys. Let me know if you can hear me okay. If I need to go up more, bring it back down. Sorry, Caleb. Trying to get my mic figured out.
Nope, you're good. For those of you that don't know, this is a new software program for us, so we're still working out a few kinks in it as well. So if you guys have any issues, audio or visual, feel free to put that in the chat and let us know. Again, Indianapolis Metro, again, 60-mile-per-hour winds on deck for you. Interior room, hallway, stairwell, great ideas. Do not take elevators during times of severe weather, as if the power goes out, that elevator may stop as a result if your building does not have generator backup capabilities. Again, here's the latest scan here. Again, strongest winds coming into the Canby area right now. Plainfield, you guys are seeing winds coming up to 6 points here, as well as the National Weather Service office here, coming very close to the radar here. Drexel Gardens, Fairfield Station, again, the I-74, I-70 corridor here on deck here in the next few minutes here. 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail is still the hazard here with this thunderstorm. This is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. We do have a strong thunderstorm in southern Indiana. Has a special weather statement on it. Special weather statements are issued for those that are not meeting severe criteria but are strong. This one in particular has a statement on it for 40-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. So again, subsevere. Severe thunderstorm is 58 or greater mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, and or a tornado makes a thunderstorm severe. Anything lower than that is just a general thunderstorm or subsevere thunderstorm. A lot of lightning associated with this thunderstorm as well. All the lightning strikes you see on here are all cloud to ground lightning strikes. So again, a very electric storm here moving into Indianapolis here. A lot of lightning associated with it as well. Lightning does not make a storm severe, but it is a hazard nonetheless. It can cause damage, fires, and can kill those if one strikes nearby. Strongest winds right now coming into the Friendswood area, Canby area, State Road 67, I-70, and Plainfield, US 40 coming up to 6 points. State Road 67 and I-74 in the next 10 minutes or less. Gonna approach downtown Indianapolis here probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Again, this storm is only moving north and east at 40 miles an hour. It's a slower moving storm than what we saw the other night, so it's going to take longer to move through the area. But also, wouldn't be surprised to see some ponding on roadways. Again, very heavy rainfall here associated with this couple showers and thunderstorms. If you click play here, you can see how there's another one right behind this thunderstorm here. Again, non-severe, but also producing very heavy rainfall and could bring a flooding risk, especially urban ponding, water on roadways, and filling ditches as well. So again, watch for water on the roadways tonight as a result of these heavy thunderstorms.
I would say, Caleb, I think besides the threat of severe weather, the threat for flash flooding and flooding in general is very, very high tonight, and also into tomorrow and perhaps even Sunday as well. Across central and southern Indiana, we've had numerous inches of rain the past couple of days that have really just saturated the soils. We have a lot of river flooding. So be mindful if you come across flooded roadways. Please do not drive through those. Anything I think it's anything deeper than 8 to 12 inches can sweep your car away, and it takes only about
12 to
6 inches.
18 for most automobiles.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Caleb. 18 inches to sweep your car away. I think for humans, it's closer to 8 inches, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 6 inches of fast moving water can sweep an adult, and then 12 to 18 inches is enough to float most vehicles away. So again, turn around, don't drown. Especially at night, it's exceptionally hard to judge how deep that water is, and there's a lot of rain yet to come. Areas of central Indiana, northeast Indiana, and southwest Indiana could see an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain here tonight. So again, lots more rain to come, and we've already seen several inches of rain. Some areas will see over a half a foot of rain by Sunday, which is an exceptional amount of rain. And river flooding will be an issue well in the next week, even after all this rain is done, as it's going to take that much time to allow our river basins to fully drain and get back to pre-flood levels, as there is just so much water to drain.
Question in chat here. Is it going to come up to Michigan tonight? And the answer is no. There's no threat tonight for Michigan.
This is mainly limited to central and southern Indiana here tonight. Could see some rain, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder southeast lower Michigan, but no severe weather for you guys. And the whole thunder risk is actually quite low for southeast lower too. Rumble of thunder can't be ruled out up there, but no severe weather.
This warning is set to expire in 5 minutes. We'll see if they extend it or if they're going to discontinue it here. We'll find out in a matter of about 4 minutes now.
Yeah, probably get a pretty good look here, a pretty good sample here as it's going right over the office here. They're going to sample this directly, and that'll tell them if they're going to reissue a warning for Indianapolis Metro. Again, downtown Indianapolis is just outside the box here. We'll see here in a couple minutes if they will be included that in a box or a special weather statement.
For those of you who don't know, they do have measurement devices at the office, at the radar site, that does measure these wind speeds. So as it passes over, they're going to get a pretty good idea of what the storm is doing and if it's deserving of a warning or at least a statement, or a step below a warning, should I say. So we'll find out here pretty soon. Once this warning drops, we'll go ahead and talk about the other threat this evening. We'll go over the SPC outlooks and stuff like that, and we'll walk you guys through it. When we're actively tracking these storms, though, we're not going to answer specific location questions. We'll take a peek at that further south and kind of go over what to expect this evening once this warning is dropped off here, if they do drop it off here at 9:45.
Yeah, again, strongest winds right now, right along the State Road 67 corridor, I-70 corridor, 6 points coming near I-74, I-70 interchange there. Drexel Gardens, Fairview Station, as well as Sunshine Gardens. You guys are all on deck here. Again, this warning does still remain for another 3 minutes here. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail. And we'll likely see, learn what they're going to do here over the next couple of minutes here. But 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail is the going hazard here with this severe thunderstorm. Again, downtown Indianapolis, it's just outside the warning box here. No severe thunderstorm warning yet for downtown, but that may change here after the National Weather Service takes these measurements of the winds and decides what's to do or what the best move is here for this thunderstorm. Is it deserving for an additional warning, or if they'll reverse back to a special weather statement indicating that the storm has weakened some. We'll learn that here in the next couple of minutes here. But nonetheless, treat it as a severe thunderstorm, interior room, away from windows, and wait for the storm to pass. This is moving north and east at 40 miles an hour, currently near the Mooresville Plainfield area, moving off to the north and east towards I-74.
Looking at the latest couple of scans here on radar, Caleb, I don't really see much that indicates that these winds are at still severe, or at least close. Maybe down here by the Francis Critchfield area, getting close to 50 miles an hour there on the airport radar. But up here by the Indianapolis radar, most of what I'm seeing is about 40 miles an hour or less.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. The velocities aren't quite as impressive as what we were seeing earlier. I know sometimes going right over the radar station can distort the winds a little bit as well. But the fact they haven't reissued this warning yet and there's 1 minute to expiration is starting to tell me that it may be weakening as well. There's still time for a reissuance here, so we'll have to see what they do if they let this expire or not. The special weather statement also expires in 1 minute, so these are set to expire at the same time. So we'll see what they do if these disappear or if we're going to get another box just ahead of this thunderstorm here. Nonetheless, still some gusty winds here on the leading edge, even if they are sub-severe, enough to blow some trash cans around and other loose objects. So again, 30 to 40 mile an hour winds still can cause objects to blow around. And downtown buildings can also have an effect on the winds. They can get squeezed between the buildings and they can actually amplify at the surface as well. So if you have any loose objects, patio furniture, etc., near downtown Indianapolis or the Greenwood area, now's the time to pick those up or tie them down. And this storm has weakened below severe criteria. We have a special weather statement in effect for the Indianapolis area, Beech Grove, Lawrence. And this is for 40 mile per hour winds and pea-sized hail, radar indicated. So the National Weather Service has likely sampled this storm and it has weakened below severe criteria. Severe criteria is 58 mile per hour or greater for winds, and we are at 40. So good news.
Now that we've also cleared that warning, let's go ahead and dive into what to expect tonight. Caleb, I'm going to take my screen back if you're cool with that.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, cool. So the best part about our radar software here is we can look at live data. We can also take a peek at future data as well. We're going to flip over here to one thing first, the SPC Outlook, and talk about who's at risk tonight. All right, latest SPC Outlook here on your screen. We're going to go ahead and toggle different radar so it doesn't become cluttered for us. Go over here to Cheyenne, Wyoming. There we go. It'll give us a better idea. So here are the risks areas. So dark green all the way up here to Fort Wayne, Logansport, those areas. It's a very low risk tonight for severe weather. If you're up here, it's mostly a hail risk. So zooming in here, places like Richmond, Newcastle, Muncie, Anderson, Alexandria, Portland, Winchester, Crawfordsville, Attica, Lafayette, Kokomo, Marion, Bluffton, Decatur, and Fort Wayne, any place in between those areas in dark green color here, your risk is mainly going to be a hail risk tonight. All right. Let's go south of Indianapolis, though. We see a yellow area. This yellow area is becoming a little more concerning for severe, but honestly, I think it's a bit further south than that at this point, Caleb. But anyway, we're going to call out a couple places here: Bloomington, Columbus, Greensburg, Madison, Seymour, Franklin, Terre Haute, Jasonville, Sullivan, Linton, any place between those areas. Zooming back out here in that yellowish color, go ahead and move the radar back so you guys can see it. This yellow color here, that is going to be a little bit higher concern tonight, mainly for damaging winds and large hail. But I think the main concern is going to be down here in orange. We have storms that are just off to our west now. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We have storms down here just off to the west of the state line, moving toward Vincennes and Evansville. These are the storms we're kind of concerned about here as they're pushing up into the southwest corner of Indiana. What we're concerned about, though, let's go ahead and talk about that. Zoom back out, take another radar here, give a better look. Let's talk about the risks tonight. We're going to start with the, if I can find it again.
The greatest areas for severe weather are those highlighted in yellow and orange. And here we go at the individual risk. Right, I'll talk about this. This is the tornado risk here for tonight. Low risk in green, a little bit higher of a risk. Still generally low in that darker green, brown color there, with the highest being in areas shaded in yellow. Yeah, from Evansville just south of Jasper.
Yeah, most of the threat tonight is going to be south of Indianapolis. That's because our surface instability to fuel these storms is much higher, especially further south here in the yellow and maybe portions of that brownish color as well. That's where we're going to find our surface fuel to get storms to rotate and produce damaging winds. Further north, they have a lot of fuel up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but we need at the surface to get those damaging winds and tornadoes to become a concern. We don't have that further north tonight. So your risk for tornadoes, as Caleb just said, highest down here in yellow. Secondary risk down here in brownish red. Let's go ahead and flip this over here to the wind outlook. I think the winds tonight are the primary concern. Anywhere in yellow and red color is our main concern there for damaging winds. But as we mentioned, though, we have storms currently pushing across central, southern Illinois currently into that corner of Indiana. And that's going to be impacting the Vincennes, Jasper, Evansville, Princeton, Salem, Bedford areas here over the next few hours. All right, so besides the risk for wind being a primary, you also have the risk for hail as well. The hail risk, I believe, is going to be highest there further south as well. There's your hail risk. There's no red zone, but there is still a yellow zone all the way up to about the Indianapolis area. So hail is a lesser threat, but still a concern, especially there in yellow. We could see an isolated large hailstone further north as well, but chances for that are kind of on the lower side based on what I'm seeing currently. I think our risk tonight is going to stay south I-70 in this general area from Terre Haute to about Batesville, and then point south to the Kentucky border. So going into the future radar now, I want to talk about the model, what we're kind of looking at. Let's go to the HRRR model. We're going to see this line currently over here in Illinois. We're going to take hour by hour here. It's going to arrive. This is 10 p.m. here, which is in 10 minutes from now. Let's go to 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m. We're seeing that solid line move through here, but some brighter reflectivities here down by Vincennes, Terre Haute, indicative of some stronger storms there as that pushes through the state. It should weaken gradually with time, and as it reaches the Kentucky-Ohio border, it should just be general rain showers and perhaps a isolated severe storm. But I do think the highest risk is going to be down here toward Vincennes, toward Evansville, Jasper, maybe as far north as Bloomington. But this general corner here in Indiana appears to have the highest concern, at least from what I'm seeing. Caleb, you can disagree or agree with me if you want to, but really this bottom corner here is what we're kind of seeing.
Yeah, and that's really largely because of how much instability we have. When we talk about severe weather ingredients, you'll often hear us talk about SLIM, which is an acronym for shear, lift, instability, and moisture, which you can check a box on all of those with the exception of instability. Wind shear, the entire state of Indiana is highly sheared here today. Wind shear is important for severe weather, including tornadoes. But instability does not go much further north than Bloomington, Indiana, and gets very limited the further north you go, which is really why the slight risk ends at Indianapolis and does not go further north, because that's all the further north our instability, our fuel goes. So without fuel, it's really hard to get severe weather and get thunderstorms powerful enough to produce severe weather. So with that being said, our instability is our limiting factor here tonight, and that was expected. But nonetheless, there is just enough fuel and instability across southern Indiana to fuel severe weather from damaging winds, hailstones, and a tornado or two cannot be ruled out either, especially across southern Indiana, closer to the Ohio River as well. With those storms just off to your left, have had a history of a couple tornado warnings associated with them in Illinois. But right now, they have kind of transitioned into more of a damaging wind risk at this time, which is good news.
Also, going back up here to that storm that prompted that warning, take a peek at that as it moves into downtown Indianapolis here. We're going to see the arc of wind, we're going to call it, is about to enter the very downtown district of Indianapolis here. But the good news is we're seeing this wind to be roughly right around 30, perhaps 40 in spots. We're not really seeing too many areas higher than that. Maybe a pocket of maybe 50-mile-an-hour winds here toward the Southport area, Lindenwood neighborhoods, moving up toward Rosedale Hills, Edgewood. We're about to cross 65 and 31 here momentarily. Other than that, we're not really seeing anything that would indicate severe weather with this particular cell. Let's take a peek back here as well at this cell approaching the airport radar. And we're not seeing too much there either. Just some gustier winds, 20 to 30 miles per hour. And then I think the risk, is more so lightning with those storms, maybe some small pea-sized hail. I'm more concerned about what's happening down here across central and southern Illinois.
Yeah, I'd agree. Those storms have more instability to work with, more fuel to work with, and have the greatest potential for becoming severe here this evening. Not saying we can't get a severe thunderstorm further north. We saw the one briefly become severe outside Indianapolis but it has quickly weakened. And that's kind of going to be the trend once you go further north. They'll be more sporadic in nature, but the further south you go, the stronger they have the potential to be. And there's Ryan there tracking the winds here on those cells across southern Illinois that'll eventually be working their way into southern Indiana over the next couple of hours.
Yep, and the unfortunate news, Caleb, is we're live now. We'll probably be live for a few hours, but we have a little bit of a break here before they arrive. So if you guys want to talk to us, ask us questions, stuff like that, we are all yours until these storms arrive here. We'll be tracking this pretty much all night, I have to assume. And fingers crossed that we don't get too much in the way of severe weather. Hopefully none at all would be great. But if you guys want to stay up with us and track these, we'll be here all night covering them. So feel free to pin it. All these streams are both pinned on both pages. We're live simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube, Indiana Weather Online, as well as Indiana Storm Chasing Network. We are live on both accounts, Facebook and YouTube. So feel free to watch on your platform of choice.
Yep, absolutely. But again, the biggest risk tonight outside of severe weather is the flood risk across central and southern Indiana. Again, some areas could see an additional 2 to 5 inches of rain here through tomorrow morning associated with these training showers and thunderstorms. So again, very heavy rainfall moving back into the state yet again across areas who have already seen several inches of rain. This is going to bring renewed ponding, runoff, washout potential, as well as river flooding as well to be renewed across the state of Indiana. Flood watches are actually in effect for over 2/3 of the state of Indiana along the US 24 corridor and points southward as a result of this heavy rain and flooding potential. Many river gauges are forecasted to crest near moderate or major flood stage by this weekend. And the flooding risk will persist well into the next week after the rain has ended, because it's going to take that long for our river basins to empty and fall below flood stage, as we have just that much volume of water that needs to drain, and that takes time.
What radars do we use, Caleb? That's a great question here. I assume you mean the software that you see on your screen. This one on your screen currently is Radar Omega. This is one we prefer to broadcast on because we can zoom in down to like a road level, for example. We can zoom way down in here to Valpen, a very small town of Valpen, State Route 251 here, Poplar Street. We can get really good data on this software, so we use it. But as we also use other radars as well. We use something called Gibson Ridge 2, which is more advanced. And that's this is what this one is. This is Gibson Ridge 2. And we can do a bunch of products on this one. We can do reflectivity, we can do rotation tracker, we can do debris tracker, we can do hail tracker, we can do size of hail, we can do a ton of stuff. Updraft, like we have a ton of tools on this one.
Yeah, we can even do 3D scans of the storm as well, which is pretty cool.
We can't, excuse me, we can. I'm not sure if I have it turned on here. I have to probably share my screen again as an entire screen, but we can take 3D scans and get a good feel for what's happening here with these storms. So we use a combination of both.
But currently, no severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana at this time. Our severe thunderstorm warning near Indianapolis has been downgraded to a special weather statement. 40-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazard with that storm, and pea-sized hail, so some little pea-sized pieces of ice are possible there with that storm. Moving through Indianapolis Metro right now, moving towards the Loris Beech Grove area as well. Not really seeing too much in the way of hail at all anymore with this system, mainly just some gusty winds, a lot of lightning with these storms, very electric storms here. But the greatest storms of concern right now are those to our west, to our neighbors in Illinois, near the Fairfield, Illinois area, as well as the Marion, Illinois area that'll be moving into southern Indiana over the next couple of hours. But right now, no severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana.
Do you guys think those two stronger lines further southwest will reach Bloomington? It is likely, yes. Probably going to take about 2 or 3 hours to get to you, but yes, it'll likely reach you a little bit later on this evening. Whether it's going to be severe is yet to be seen. There's potential for it, which is why we are live. What's up, Julie? We got in chat here. We got Peggy. Lots of thunder, heavy rain in Greenfield. Any hail possible? Peggy, small hail currently is possible there. Not too concerned, at least right at this moment, for larger hailstones. We got Hannah in here. Lightning is scaring me. Yeah, lightning can be scary, especially when it's a very loud, and we call it positive strikes. Those are the really loud ones that can shake your windows and kind of make you go, huh, I want to go outside now.
Window rattlers is what I call them.
Mm-hmm. Caleb, where is Huntingtonburg? I don't think I've heard of that city.
You know, I'm gonna have to look that one up as well. I don't know off the top of my head.
Interesting.
But I will get an answer for you here momentarily.
Do you mean Huntington, Bethany?
That'd be up around the Fort Wayne area, but let me see if there is a Huntingtonburg. There is a Huntingtonburg, Indiana. And it is... Whoa. Just south of Jasper, Indiana. Just northeast of Evansville, Indiana. Looks like right along the US 231 corridor there, just south of Jasper. Du Bois County, if I'm not mistaken, down there.
Yep, so Jasper would be in a risk for this severe weather a little bit later on in the evening. But if you notice here on radar, they're moving quite slow. Each scan you see here is about 2 or 3 minutes. Jasper, the area, I assume is going to be right in this area. This has to move up your way. It's going to be about probably another hour or 2, maybe even 3 hours before it reaches you up there. So yes, there's a risk later on this evening. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit later on. But yes, the risk will accompany these storms as they move your direction.
Whitney asked, what about Winchester? Winchester, you guys are on the northern tier of the severe risk. Not expecting any widespread severe for you guys, but small hail, maybe some gusty winds can't be ruled out up there. But widespread severe weather will be more likely to your south and to your southwest. Again, southern Indiana has the best chances here for severe weather. Again, more instability, which includes Evansville, Vincennes, Jasper. You guys have the best chances for severe weather from damaging winds, hail, and a spin-up tornado can't be ruled out either in those areas just mentioned.
Crazy thunder in Mooresville.
Yeah, lots of lightning with these thunderstorms here. You can just see all the white specks there on Ryan's radar. Those are all cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. That's not even counting the lightning strikes that are in the cloud. We call that cloud-to-cloud lightning or intercloud lightning, icy lightning. These are all cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. So these are the ones you really hear if they strike near your home. They can rattle your windows. But torrential rainfall is also occurring with these storms, and I can't say that enough. Rainfall rates in excess of 1 inch an hour are occurring with these storms. This is going to really promote flash flooding, renewed ponding, excessive runoff, as well as the potential for more washouts as well. We've had a lot of road closures across southern Indiana as a result of river flooding, and this is only going to further that issue throughout the night into tomorrow. As rain exits the state tomorrow is really our last chance of widespread heavy precipitation for at least a good little bit here, at least over the next week and a half. We'll kind of see a bit of a break, but the flooding risk will persist into next week during that dry period. Is this going to take that long for our water levels to recede and crest below flood levels? So again, it's going to take some time to drain all this water. Some areas, by the time it's all said and done, we'll see over 7 inches of rain. I know sometimes when we get to those numbers 3 to 5, that's normally numbers that we use for snow, but not in this case. We are using them for rain, liquid water, which is quite impressive. Yeah, that's a lot of water.
It's very impressive, actually. I mean, I think some places down there, correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb, but over 10 inches of rain between numerous days of rainfall over the past couple of days, and also tonight and a little bit tomorrow as well. So that's nothing to sneeze at. 10 inches of rain all in 3 or 4 days. Yeah,
here's a little weather fact potato chip, as I like to call it. Let this sink in. So 1 inch of rain on 1 acre is equal to 27,154 gallons of water. That is a tremendous amount of water for 1 inch of rain on 1 acre when you break it down like that. So when you think some areas could see 8 inches of rain, Let's go 8 times 24,154. That is 193,000 gallons of water on 1 acre that could fall over the course of this week from about the Tuesday time frame through Sunday. That's just astronomical in terms of how many gallons of water has fallen across southern Indiana in terms of gallons. It's just crazy.
Only Caleb would know that fact. Only Caleb.
I have known that fact for some time. I don't know why. It's just one of those random things in my mind.
Still wondering if I need to stay in downtown Indy or if I'm safe to drive back to Lafayette. So taking a peek back here at downtown Indy, you do have numerous showers and storms in the area. I'm going to say if you're in downtown Indy here, I would wait until this particular cell moves past you. It has a lot of lightning with it. So I would just suggest staying in for another about 20 minutes or so. And then, yeah, I think you'd be safe after that to make the dash back there to Lafayette. What do you think, Caleb?
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, but also keep your alerts on. I wouldn't be surprised to see some flood advisories issued associated with these heavier showers and thunderstorms. Again, producing very heavy rainfall there. Starting to see a little bit, maybe a stronger wind gust there near the Beech Grove area, moving towards New Palestine there. Maybe some gustier winds starting to mix in. Still not severe, sub-severe, but enough to perhaps blow your trash can into your neighbor's yard. So again, if you guys do have any trash cans out tonight, if your trash can is empty, I would advise picking that up, hauling it in so it doesn't end up in Fred's yard because Fred doesn't want to pick up your trash can for you. So little courtesy tidbit for you here tonight. Mindy says, lightning and thunder in the Muncie area. Yeah, you guys are on the north side of the heaviest rain, but getting a nice steady, we call this stratiform rain, where you have a lot of nimbus clouds above you, producing that stratiform rain. Could have a few rumbles of thunder there. Maybe a few lightning strikes, but a lot of your lightning is cloud to cloud. We call that intercloud lightning. We do have a tornado warning in southern Illinois, so these are the storms that we're going to have to watch. Again, more instability, more wind shear as well. Just more fuel for these storms to work on. About 2 counties away from southern Indiana. I believe this is a radar indicated warning, if I'm not correct, Ryan.
That's correct. I was going to take a peek down here at some of the radars, see if I get anything here to kind of track. We see a little bit of a notch there, an indentation. That's inflow, and the area of interest would be right here. Let's go ahead and check our rotation, our wind speeds here. And yeah, a little bit of something there, not overly strong. So we're going to watch that. It's not our jurisdiction here to cover, but it's moving up our way, so we are interested in it for sure. I do have a couple reports coming in, Caleb, from the Indianapolis office here. Flooding on the south section of Family Dollar and Back Street. Cars having to, we'll go this in fully. Cars having to slow down, kicking up water 8 feet high as they drive through. That's going to be in the Sullivan area. That's reported as of a couple minutes ago. Also, Vigo County, however you guys pronounce it down there. Ditches are overflowing, leading to water covering rural roads. So, as we just talked about, flooding is a huge concern tonight.
Yep. Rainfall rates associated with these thunderstorms can surpass an inch an hour easily, if not an inch and a half at times. And when you get rainfall rates over a long period of time at that rate, over an inch an hour, street drains have a really hard time keeping up, especially if there's any debris or clogging on those street drains. Underneath overpasses, roadways that go under railroad trestles, under overpasses, again, have a greater risk at ponding and flooding temporarily here before those street drains can keep back up. So again, that'll be a hazard going into all throughout tonight. As you can see, just how much rain we have here, Ryan, with this wave of rain moving in. Just a tremendous amount of moisture here associated with this system.
Have another report coming out of Terre Haute. Multiple basements are flooding. College Avenue is nearly impassable. And these are reports from train spotters and also the public that are getting relayed to the National Weather Service and then getting outputted to broadcast media like us. So you can also track those if you're on X/Twitter. If you want to follow it, it's IEMBotIND. You can get all those reports as well sent into your phone if you're interested in getting those alerts as well. Yeah, we are also keeping an eye on that. Warning down to the south there. It's still a few counties away. It's not going to be in Indiana anytime soon, probably another 45 minutes or so, but it is coming our way, and we're very interested to see what it's going to do for us down there and further south and west.
Yep, again, the Storm Prediction Center does have the highest tornado risk associated right in that vicinity, from Vincennes across southern Indiana. Basically, the bottom 2 or 3 counties of Indiana is where that greatest tornado risk, with the highest tornado risk being that bottom row of counties stretching from Evansville over towards the Louisville area, has the greatest risk for an isolated tornado tonight. And that's largely because that's where our instability is greatest here in Indiana tonight. More instability, more fuel. Again, we've already mentioned we got the moisture. We have the wind shear, meaning winds are moving at different directions with height as well as different speed, all needed for tornadoes to develop. But without fuel and instability, those storms aren't going to tap into it as easily. But to go further south, we have that component of fuel. That's our instability. And that is what these storms are tapping into, which is why they are of greatest concern at this time. And we'll be here to keep you ahead of those storms all night long here until the threat is over in Indiana. So if you guys have storm anxiety, or if you're just curious, or if you're in the way of these storms, keep it here with us. We'll be here to cover them live. We'll give you real-time locations and areas of interest to watch going forward as well, as we go through the night here across Indiana.
I'm going to pop out for about 2 minutes. I'm going to down some food. I'll be right back. If you want to put your screen up, I'll put your screen up there. Pop you in full. There we go. We got full Caleb cam. I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes.
I see 2 of me, Ryan. If you want to take one of my faces.
Oh yeah, there is 2 of you. We can put 4 of you if you want to.
I don't know if the people can handle that. One's enough.
All right, I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
All right, sounds good. Ryan's gonna go eat some supper here. Like we said, we'll be here all night, so we'll likely be here until at least easily 3-4 in the morning here. These storms aren't moving overly fast. Wednesday night system, these storms are moving at 60 plus miles an hour east northeast. These storms, not so much. They're riding a frontal boundary or a stationary boundary that's been responsible for bringing us our renewed chances of rainfall across Indiana. And this frontal boundary does not have a lot of steering with it. So there's no cold front to really boot these showers out of Indiana any faster. So their eastward progression is going to be quite slow, which is why we have an increased risk for flooding. Again, look across Indiana or Illinois. All these green boxes here are flash flood warnings here. This one approaching the Indiana border here. Again, between 1.5 inches and 2 inches of rain, an additional 1 to 2 inches is expected within that box there across central Illinois. And we'll likely see some of the same hazards here across Indiana as that rain moves into the state here and into Indiana. Again, this special weather statement, this storm was severe at one point in time outside of Indianapolis near the Mooresville, Plainfield area. It has weakened here. Special weather statement, still in effect for another 4 minutes here. It looks like on radar, I don't see too much with it at all at this point in time, which is good news. It has weakened quite a bit. Still a little bit of a gust front there. Could have perhaps maybe some gusty winds to 25 miles an hour, maybe 30 max, but I don't really see anything much more than that, which is good. Go back down to southern Indiana here. Again, a lot of heavy rain around the Bloomington, Terre Haute area. You guys are just getting inundated with rainfall. Again, we have a lot of reports coming in. Basements are starting to flood. Urban ponding is starting to develop on area roadways, interstates, as well as rural roads as well. A lot of excessive runoff, field ponding, and flooding as well is occurring here. As our soils are already saturated and our soils just can't hold the water that's coming down, it immediately starts ponding and it has to go somewhere, so it spreads out and expands, causing a lot of our flooding issues and hydrologic concerns here tonight. But while we're waiting on our next round of severe storms to enter Indiana, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. Ryan and I will try to answer those here. He's eating his a snack or a supper right now, and he'll be back in shortly. But if you guys have any questions, yeah, there he is. You can wave to him, say hi. But we'll be here all night long covering you keeping you ahead of the severe weather here as it enters Indiana. Our mission statement is to have you covered from beginning to end, and that means from the very start of severe weather, and we will not finish until the threat has fully ended in Indiana, and we are confident that it has ended. The last thing we want to do is end a stream early just to have to come back on and cover a severe thunderstorm warning. So we will have you covered here from beginning to end. Again, multiple hazards here tonight. Damaging winds is the primary hazard, followed by some small hail can't be ruled out, but we also have a tornado risk to keep in mind, especially across southern Indiana. Think Vincennes, Jasper, Evansville, you guys having the highest tornado risk over towards the Louisville area as well, also having a risk for tornadoes, and that's largely because we have more instability to work with down there than what we do, let's say, Bloomington, Terre Haute, and points northward. Not as much instability to work with up there. We do have one tornado warning we are watching in southern Illinois. Again, these storms will slowly meander and work their way towards the Evansville area, Mount Vernon area, and the boot of the county over the next few hours. Again, these storms are only moving at 40 miles an hour. So very slow moving storms here, and that's really why we have such a high flash flood risk across the state here, is because of how slow these storms are moving and how much rainfall these storms are putting out. Sometimes rainfall rates in excess of 1.5 inches an hour has been noted with these thunderstorms. Again, our tornado warning here, you can see a little bit of a hook here just south of Cereal Springs there, south of Marion there. Not really seeing a whole lot that really screams tornadoes on velocity, which is good, but nonetheless tight enough there when the National Weather Service has went ahead and issued that tornado warning. Radar indicated penny-sized hail, 0.75 associated with it as well. But again, not moving very fast. This storm is looks like it is moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, so a little bit faster, but again, not as fast as what we saw the other night with storm motions 60 to 70 miles an hour. These are nowhere near that fast. We don't have that upper level support to really drive these storms like we did the other night. This is along what we call a frontal boundary. Think of it like a stationary boundary where there's no cold front that is going to be sweeping across, kicking these storms out. It is just a boundary. The cold front will come later, which will actually drop temperatures into the 20s by Tuesday morning across Indiana. So again, if you guys have any flowers, keep that in mind. Early next week could have some frost and freeze potential across the entire state of Indiana, actually, unfortunately.
Also, want to point out we have a flash flood warning now in effect for numerous counties. We have Clay County, Greene County, Hendricks County, Johnson County, Marion County, Morgan County, Owen County, Park County, Putnam County, Sullivan County, as well as Vigo County until 1:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, flash flood warnings mean that there's a lot of water all of a sudden in one spot. It could also cause things like basement floods, cars to be washed away, numerous roads to be flooded. So please avoid flooded roadways, avoid travel if you can. If you live in a low-lying area prone to flooding, especially flash flooding in those counties just listed, please heed all those warnings, get to higher ground if you can, if you need to, and just make sure you're aware of the situation here, as numerous more inches of rain is expected to fall in these locations overnight tonight.
Yeah, according to the flash flood warning here, the National Weather Service has indicated that heavy rain across the warned area has dumped between 1 and 2 inches of rain. An additional 1 to 3 inches are expected and possible over the warned area. Flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So again, turn around, don't drown when encountering flooding rows. Most flood deaths do occur in vehicles, unfortunately, from people misjudging how deep the water actually is. It'll appear black at night and sometimes can be very difficult to see as well. So again, that'll be one of the primary hazards here tonight, is that flash flood risk associated here across the state of Indiana. And this does go for another 3 hours here across central Indiana. So a very long-lived flash flood warning as well. And that's really thanks to these just training showers and thunderstorms moving over the same area again and again and again, just dumping those rainfall rates over 1 inch an hour. When you have that set up, it really doesn't take long to really add up the totals, Ryan.
No, it doesn't at all. Not at all.
Again, our soils are already so saturated. Many areas have already seen 3 to 5 inches of rain. And those numbers are crazy to say because a lot of times when we see the numbers in precipitation get above 3, a lot of times we're talking about snow, but that is not the case here. Um, this time of year in April, unfortunately, right now it is rainfall. 3 to 5 inches of rain has been measured across a good majority of southern Indiana, with unfortunately another 2 to 4, perhaps 3 to 5 coming tonight. So again, a very heavy, very wet pattern that we have been stuck in over the last 3 to 5 days. But luckily, after Saturday, that wet trend is coming to an end, and a colder, more quiet period moves in for another week or two before potentially turning active again by late month. Those are trends we're going to have to keep an eye on. But with that colder trend, yes, there's a chance for some snowflakes mixing in. Sunday night into Monday could have some wet snowflakes, primarily north of Indianapolis, but nonetheless, the risk is there. Don't shoot the messenger, but better hear it from me than find out and we didn't tell you, so you heard it here. But with that said, if you guys have any flowers, don't be hesitant to cover them up early next week. Could have a couple chances at some freezes and frosts. We may not see any advisories get issued yet. We are still early in the season. Again, the typical growing season hasn't really started yet. We don't have any cash crops growing in the fields yet across Indiana, or at least not many. So it'd be interesting if we have any advisories issued. If there are any, it'll likely be south of Indianapolis, where more stuff is starting to grow. But nonetheless, no accumulating snow, might I add. Just a few wet snowflakes may mix in, especially Monday.
Just joined and see Muncie mentioned. Are we in trouble? Not at the moment. You should be fine from severe tonight. You're too far north, so to speak. I think the only thing that's going to happen, if anything at all for you, would be probably some hail, probably some small hail. But for the majority of you, South Indianapolis is really where the threat is tonight.
Yeah, more instability to work with down there. Just more fuel for these storms to tap into. And but north of Indianapolis, you guys are definitely in a risk for some flooding. Still some flooding risk going on, and that really goes anywhere along the US 24 corridor and points southward. Have the greatest potential for seeing some flooding and other hydrologic issues associated with our heavy rain. Again, our special weather statement that was in effect for Indianapolis has been allowed to expire. I'm not really seeing anything on radar that would indicate any gusty winds anymore for that area. Just some heavy thunderstorms. Again, strongest storms still off to the west. Have a heavier band of showers and thunderstorms getting ready to move into the Sullivan area, Vincennes area, the US 41 corridor here in western Indiana. Subsevere right now. Could have some gusty winds, maybe 20, 25 miles an hour, where you see those greens there just outside of Robinson coming into the Princeton area. But again, subsevere on radar, which is good news. Our strongest storms to keep an eye on are about a county and a half away from southern Indiana, about 2 counties away from the Benton, Illinois area, Mount Vernon, all the way down to Vienna. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings, even a tornado warning associated with that. Another area of interest, what we call a bookend vortex near Benton that we'll have to keep an eye on as the storm moves till Evansville. Will it be severe? It's just a trend that we're going to have to keep an eye on as these storms move towards Indiana. Again, southern Indiana, highest chances of seeing that severe weather here tonight. Once you go further north, Bloomington and areas northward, the risk will be quite lower substantially as you go even further north.